Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video we're going to be going over the updated Pride Win PvP and Dream Realm tier list. They have now placed Sinbad into a tier. We're going to be evaluating that, and as well as that we're going to be looking through all of the changes which have happened to the different heroes in different tiers, and briefly going over the last month or so of the meta for PvP in both Arena and Supreme Arena, and decide whether we agree with the positioning of all of these heroes. So for the damage dealers, Diona, Lily May, and Vala. Out of these three, I think Lily May is a tier above the other two. Lily May right now is one of the top heroes in the game in PvP. It's pretty incredible what she can do, both on offense and on defense. She has solo potential. She can interrupt a key ultimate of the enemy. So Lily May, top tier hero, one of the best to be going for. Diona and Vala are really good, but they're mainly better on offense. On defense, they're a little bit counterable because, I mean, you know how to deal with them. Like Diona can be Sylvina Valid because he's usually in the back line, and Vala on defense, you can just position a tank to take her mark. So I think on defense, they're a bit lacking. On offense, they can be amazing. Scarlita for the specialist S+ tier. Definitely Scarlita is a top tier PvP hero, is a hero you would want to include in pretty much all of your Supreme Arena defenses if that were possible. And for regular arena defense, she is one of the best options still. She has damage threat, kill potential, and she has shielding for your team at the beginning of the fight. Overall, an incredible hero, but you need to pair her up with a team that has the tankiness to survive, so that when she comes down, she will have 3 living allies. That is what is required to deal her true damage if you have her Mythic Plus upgraded. Going to the supports, Damien, Haywin, Rainier. Damien is a top tier support because it's so difficult to deal with him. He is a great surviving ally for Scarlita because he's not killed. Even when the Toy Chariot is dead, he's still a living ally. And he can keep respawning the Toy Chariot, giving haste buff to your team, healing to your team, stuns onto, there is a stun onto the backline target and blinds to the front line. A lot of crowd control in his kit. Haywin is great healer for stall-oriented teams. She has the damage reduction, massive burst of healing. You need to try to keep her alive, so like a Thorn Soul Pack, Illusion, Freyasto, Crimson Contract to give her damage reduction. Something like that is what you're going to want to plan with Haywin. But if she can survive, she has some of the greatest support for your team, giving you that 30+% damage reduction during the duration of her ultimate, which is like 10 seconds long, is huge. It can swing the tides of a fight. Rainier is, I mean, it relies on the opponent positioning in a way that Rainier can get value, which in Supreme Arena, you can usually get value with Rainier. So on offense, Rainier is a good option. On defense, he's counterable because you would just not put any hero in a tile that will be position swapped. Thorin, top tier tank, yes. Thorin is the best tank in the game right now. Multiple lives, threat of killing opponents or key opponent heroes, even sometimes one-shotting Scarlitas when they descend with his damage reflect. And he also has Soul Pack to like protect your Haywin if you want, or protect one of your damage dealers. So for the S+ tier, pretty much agree with these. Maybe Diona, Vala, Rainier could be a tier below, but the other ones I definitely think top tier. For the S tier, we have Lenya in damage dealer, which I do agree with. There's actually been quite a lot of Lenya teams used, both on Supreme Arena defense and on offense. She does well in Mauler-oriented teams. She can even do well in Wilder teams on the Wilder buff tile in the season that we're currently in. She is a great hero, and good in Bruiser comms, good with Shakira and Mikola type teams, or good, just like we mentioned with the Wilders, Lily May, Lenya. One other Wilder to give them the buff tile, and then Lenya becomes unaffected, has the bonus attack speed. She's really a big damage threat, and she's pretty tanky. She's not that easy to kill. The other heroes here, Odie can be good on offense, even on defense of a Mauler team. Arden is good in crowd control teams. Burial Hat is pretty good, especially in Supreme Arena defenses if you haven't fully built up, but the problem is not many people will be able to afford building up Burial because there's so many priority Celestial Hypogeans. And also can be good in crowd control teams as well. As for the specialists, Carolina, Iron, Shakir, Sinbad, Tillian. So we found where Sinbad is, and I agree with that. I definitely don't think Sinbad is an S+ tier hero, and S tier, and he is a specialist because he has massive forms of debuffs in his kit. The issue is on running him on defense is a little bit difficult because he can be prone to be targeted. You can crowd control him. There are a lot of ways, and even, you know, diagonal arrows at the beginning of the fight can hit him even when he goes to uses Tracker's Instinct and goes kind of vaults behind your team. So that is the problem with Sinbad. However, he offers some major debuffs and they last for 30 seconds and then they will be reapplied if you kill any enemy who has been debuffed. He has pretty high damage in his kit. He first will attack the hitter, then the guard, and he's really good for shredding through guards, especially. So for example, if there's a Fresto, if there's a Granny, those are usually going to be appointed as the guard, and he'll end up with his attacks onto the guard, apply the basically increased damage taken effect onto the guard, and then you can just burst through that guard if you have any other form of damage like a Lenya with him, Shakir with him, any other form of basically damage up in the front. And Shakir is a good partner for him because he would buff up Sinbad as well. Basically all melee heroes like Lenya, Sinbad, they do well with Shakir because he can go in his wolf form and he will buff up nearby allies with damage reduction and haste. So even Mikola can work, but Mikola, you know, the problem is she's a little bit easy to kill as well. And on offense, Sinbad can be pretty effective. Like, we did some PvP testing with Sinbad, and I thought what was really interesting with them is that you can kind of position your team in a way that you will know who the guard will become. Like, basically, you, based on the enemy team's formation, you can decide, okay, who do I want to point as a guard? And then you position your team in a way so that that hero takes the most damage at the beginning 6 seconds of the fight, and then he uses Tracker's Instinct, and then he will mark that hero as a guard, and then you should be able to shred through that hero. So I like Sinbad. I think he's a really cool hero for PvP. Defense, he has less uses because, I mean, he's a squishy hero. He is susceptible to being crowd controlled, targeted with Sylvina. If he's in the back, targeted even with Vala. And yeah, and also the thing is you can position around him. Then just like we mentioned, you can use Sinbad positioning on offense to try and decide who to be the guard. You can use Thorin into Sinbad, have Thorin tank all the damage and make Thorin the guard. And you do not want Sinbad attacking a Thorin because it's just going to give him a powerful damage effect which can just one-shot the Sinbad. So that is the thing. But overall, pretty solid hero for PvP. Definitely fun. Talene, Iron, Shakir, Carolina. Yeah, I pretty much agree with this. Talene can maybe be even in a higher tier if you have her combined with Ludovic for the healing, maybe even Shakir for the damage reduction, haste buff. As long as you have a team that can be tanky enough and sustainer, Talene can deal massive damage with her ultimate. But she can be interrupted from the ultimate. She can also be killed multiple times. But I really like Talene, especially in the backline position, because she counters Vala. You don't want Vala marking Talene because it's kind of a wasted kill when you kill Talene. I guess it gives Vala her effect probably of getting a kill and then going into her stealth form, but you want to really kill and make it a 5v4, and killing Talene is not a 5v4, she just respawns. So that is why Talene is pretty strong. Carolina, Iron, both good in crowd control teams. Of course, Iron is the key to crowd control comps. So if you're running Arden, Iron, Carolina, these all synergize really well together. And really good for regular arena defense, supreme arena defense. He can loop up enemies for a Scarlita ult to kill them, or he can just use his crowd control to increase Arden's and Carolina's damage. Coco Rowan. Coco is great for damage reduction, can keep your team alive for just long enough to get the advantage, like a 5v4, 5v3 advantage by killing a couple enemies while you have the damage reduction running. Can protect your own Scarlita as well, into like Scarlita versus Scarlita matchups, just like Haywin kind of can. Rowan is good for the burst of energy to get your first ultimate cast. Dunlinger is in the S tier. Yeah, I mean, Dunlinger is an S tier hero. On offense, on defense, even he can be good, but he's a bit counterable because, like, if he has the Spellbind preventing the ultimate cast, you can use Lily May to still interrupt the enemy's ultimate. And if you have him on Cure Lock, then you can design a team that doesn't rely as much on healing. But overall, he's a good tech option for PvP. He is good with Diurnal. We've seen he can even be good into like enemy stall teams because he can prevent them from healing with his Cure Lock. So Dunlinger is an interesting option. Definitely on offense, he's a good option. And a lot of people actually, you can use him at lower ascension. Like even if you have one copy of him, Legendary Plus Dunlinger even, he is going to have his effect. Like he will not be able to like provide that exclusion criteria onto one of your heroes to allow them to cast their ultimate, but he can deny and block all ultimates of the enemy, which can give you enough time to win. If your team is like, for example, not very ultimate focused and you block out the opponent's ultimates, you're going to get, and your own ultimates, you're going to get more value from that. So Dunlinger can allow, and it has allowed people with lower ascension to clear defenses of people who have much higher ascension on their heroes, like Paragon heroes. So Dunlinger is good. But mainly an offense hero. Can be used in defense as well. But he's not a must-have because he's a purely PvP hero. And for Celestial Hypogeans, there's so many that you need to build. And it feels like building a pure PvP Celestial Hypogean is kind of like a luxury rather than a good idea for players who lack a lot of them. Okay, Granny and Freyasto. So Granny is a good tank as well. She's difficult to break through. She doesn't have multiple lives like Thorin, but her first life is one of the bulkiest and tankiest because once she drops below 50% health, she gets healing and she gets like a massive defense boost for the rest of the battle, I believe. And Freyasto, he is really good in PvP as well because you have 2 heroes for the price of 1. There's damage potential. And you have the Crimson Contract effect. You have a lot of tankiness to protect your backline. So really good hero. And then briefly going down to the PvP, that like A and lower tiers, we'll briefly cover it, but then we'll move on to the Dream Realm. Yeah, basically all of the heroes in A tier, if you have them built, they can be good options, but they're more niche because you cannot run them in every team, or they have some major drawbacks which limit their use. For example, just to pick on something here, like let's say we have Nara. Nara is counterable if the opponent has a lightning spell on their backline target, if they don't have heroes on symmetrical tiles, or basically if there's no priority target for Nara. Then she is counterable, and so that is why. But if you have like a great defense, like for example, they don't have a lightning spell on the carry in the back, which they shouldn't position like that. But if they don't, Nara can get value and loop that hero in, and or if they have one of their priority targets on a non-back tile, and then it can have the lightning spell, Nara can just loop them in if there's a symmetrical tile. So Nara has that advantage going for it, and that's pretty much, it goes for all the heroes in the A tier. They're usable and could be even best options in certain circumstances. Prissa, not bad in wilder teams. And also, you can be using these heroes to fill out your faction buff tiles. Like, for example, in the new season, for Supreme Arena offense or defense, the faction buff tiles you're getting are pretty valuable. So, for example, if you're missing out on another wilder hero, you can throw Prissa in there. You can use Floribel, Brian. Brian counters enemy Lily Maze because he can take that first interruption. Mikola is good into melee-oriented comps, usually melee Mauler comps. However, she is susceptible to being killed early, and then you lose out on one hero slot for your team, basically. So that is a problem with Mikola, because she runs into the front line as a support, doesn't have great tanky stats. Ludovic is great for sustained healing, but his Everbloom field cannot reach the whole map. It is concentrated in an area. So if all of your team is grouped up, like if it's a melee-oriented team or even a Talene team, then he can get a lot of value with his heals. Almas is a great option in Iron crowd control teams, and actually there are people who run like Iron, Almas, Brian, and Lily May, or on the same team, and basically Brian will take the enemy Lily May interruption, allowing Iron the free ultimate cast, then Almas will prolong the duration of their mobilization and yeah, or the displacement. So Almas is still a top tier. I would actually think probably Almas is S tier. People have been using him very effectively in Supreme Arena, defense and offense in like Iron teams, but you have to work around Lily May, because if there's a Lily May, or if people are going to bring Lily May to your defense, have Brian in there as well to take the Lily May interruption to allow your Iron to cast the ultimate. And I believe the positioning is that you want to have Brian more towards the front if on defense compared to your Iron, and then Lily May will interrupt your Brian instead of Iron. I believe that is the positioning, but you'll have to try because it changes for offense and defense. On one of them, Lily May will prioritize a backline target, and I believe on defense she prioritizes the frontmost target. So if your Brian is in front of Iron on defense, right? It's really kind of confusing. Yeah, but basically Brian can be used. You just have to worry about where to position him, in front of Iron or behind Iron. That decides who Lily May is interrupting, so you can test that out. And I need to do more testing because I'm still kind of confused about how it works for offense and defense, because I believe it's different. But yeah, for defense, I'm pretty sure Brian in front of Iron is the way to go to counter Lily May. and then that can be really good. So overall, yeah, these are most of the top tier PvP heroes. The rest, and any hero can be used in PvP, and again, for getting the faction bonuses, Smokey I think should be a tier above, because in a Mauler team, he can be pretty good. A lot of people have him built and ascended. He's a good option for a lot of people to run their accounts. Even Reese is a pretty good damage dealer option. So I would put Reese and Smokey up a tier to tier A. The other tier heroes down here, yeah, not too great. Tamesia could be up. She's not a bad tank. She has some interruption as well. And Antandra even could be a good option. Okay, so that is pretty much my recommendation. So now we're going to take a look at the Dream Realm, which is, honestly, I find a little bit more exciting. Okay, so for a Dream Realm, we have Lily May, Talene, Mikola, Rainier. Yeah, so Lily May, Talene, hands down, top 2 damage dealers in Dream Realm as of right now. Odie is kind of getting there. And if you don't have Talene, then Odie becomes top tier for you. You're going to be using an Odie on almost all of your teams. But Talene is like an upgrade of Odie. Odie is like the free-to-play version of Talene for Dream Realm bosses as of right now. Before getting to end this, Lily May is one of the top damage dealers. She has a lot of true damage. And her Rainstorm Ballet has just incredible damage output in a short span of time. Talene continues ultimate casting, massive damage. She is a part of almost all the top performing Dream Realm teams right now. I think only Lone Gaze is the only one where she is not the best option. But I'm pretty sure all the rest she is used. Maybe things will change when we get to end this, but as of right now, Talene is a top performer for Dream Realm, the top damage dealer hero along with Lily May. Looking at the supports, Mikola. Yeah, I mean, Mikola is probably the best support, because Mikola is best for Talene, right? Mikola goes up to the front, she gives a haste buff to her nearby allies. She's going to be guaranteed to be giving that buff to Talene, because Talene positions herself right in the center of the map, front and center. Perfect for Mikola to be buffing her up with the haste, and Mikola can also provide the healing, and usually that healing should be enough. You won't need like excessive healing that you can get from Smokey. And Mikola just has a little bit of higher damage output as compared to Smokey. So that is why she is the better option. She synergizes more with Shakira teams as well, who run to the front. Even Lenya, Sinbad, heroes who are up in the front line, Mikola is going to be buffing them. And even Lily May can be buffed if you position correctly. Then Mikola can be buffing up Lily May with the Courage Sphere as well. Rainier, yes, Rainier's top tier support. He is used in almost all of the Dream Realm bosses right now as an optimal choice. Things might change when we get to Endless Mode, but for right now, he is just dominating and doing even better than last season, where he kind of was getting replaced in the Endless bosses in certain teams. He was not in all of the teams. In the S tier, Lenya, Odie. Yeah, Lenya is a part of a lot of top performing Dream Realm teams, and Odie as well. Both of these, again, going to be the next tier of damage dealers and great priority to build on your account. Keep in mind, this is before getting to Endless Mode. Things can change when we get there. But pre-endless, these are going to be top priorities for damages for your account. Looking at the specialists, we have Kruger, Shakir, and Sinbad. Now, Sinbad has not seen that great performance so far. Today was the Lone Gaze, which is the first time he's actually the best in slot hero to be running for it. But for the other bosses, like Talene is just better, Lily May, other things are better. It's mainly because Sinbad's debuffs that he applies to the boss, they're so reduced and nerfed compared to how much of a debuff they get to like regular PvP heroes. So that is the major issue. He has good melee physical damage. He's good with Shakir, he's good with Mikola, and he's good with Kruger especially because he's a physical damage dealer. Kruger has those physical debuffs. Kruger is really a top option. He deals pretty decent damage himself and provides crucial physical defense reduction debuffs for Lenya. If you're running Lenya in your team, you will always have Kruger beside her. Basically, Shakira is great in the melee teams like we said. He buffs them up with damage reduction, haste, and even attack buff if you have his plus 10 exclusive equipment. Coco and Smokey. Coco is needed for a lot of bosses where you need that damage reduction to survive for longer, so she's a top tier choice and you want to get her to Mythic Plus for the shielding as well. Smokey is a great healer. His damage output at pre-endless is pretty low with his blue aura, but that is not the reason you're using him. You're using him for the healing and the attack and haste buff, which will last for the whole fight and can buff up the whole team. And he's a great option replacement for Mikola if you don't have Mikola, and you can just swap it out for Smokey. And Smokey does well in even Crystal Beetle and Orson, where we thought he would get interrupted. If you just position him all the way to the left or all the way to the right, he will not be focused by the boss's knock-up attack, and he will be free to continuously cast his aura and buff your team. So really good hero. Freya's Thorin. As of right now, both of them are not seeing great use in the Dream Realm, like very limited use in the best teams, because Thorin has a useful Soul Plunder debuff to increase the damage the boss takes. Freya's, he has decent damage output, and Crimson Contract can be valuable, and 2 heroes for the price of 1. So for Esther Thorin, yes, both good heroes, but as of right now, nothing special really for Dream Realm. And in Endless mode, maybe Frestro is going to become much more dominant like he was in the Song of Strife season, where he was one of the best options in all of the Endless teams. But this season things may be different because he doesn't have a great Magic Charm bonus effect to increase his damage. He just basically has Mythic Magic Charm bonuses, which are going to increase his tankiness, which is good for AFK stages and good for like maybe even PvP. And yeah, good for PvP definitely, but not good for Dream Realm where you want to just deal damage. You don't want that extra tankiness. So that is the thing with Freya's, although still good overall hero. And does have uses in Dream Realm. Moving down the list, the other heroes here, not seeing too much. Like, honestly, the only other heroes I've seen here, Corrin, Temesia, Merrily, for the Necro Draken. They're in one of the best performing Necro Draken teams and like a free-to-play version of it, which also competes almost with the top performing team. The other heroes here, Vala, Floribel, Reese, Brian, these are not top tier options in any of the teams currently. You can use them if you don't have the other heroes built up, and for some reason you have these heroes built up on your account. Scarlita, not really used for Dream Realm bosses this season because she doesn't have the seasonal skill that she had like in last season. Ludovic is used for some bosses for the healing, like especially with Taylene, he can combo, but usually like he's not really needed that excessive healing, and it's better for you to run like a Mikola instead for the like the haste, or even Smokey for the attack and haste buff, because Mikola and Smokey both give attack buff. Ludovic is only healing. And that is pretty much it for the Dream Realm. If we talk about Cassidy, so Cassidy has no use in Dream Realm right now, like, or very limited use. You can use her, but she's not a best option anywhere. But for the Primal Lord Plague Creeper, she is the best in slot hero, and so for that we have to mention her. And yeah, so she is a priority to build on your account for that boss team, and it should make you think about maybe you should try to get Cassidy to Mythic Plus at least for future bosses where she might be used. Right when the game began and launched, Cassidy was used in a few Dream Realm teams, and that made me like motivated to build her, because by the time I built her, she was not used in the best teams anymore. But I always thought there is going to be a game mode or a boss eventually that will come out which will make good use of Cassidy, because she has some very unique skills. And this boss and the Graveborn buff tiles we have from this season are just perfect for her kit, giving her massive attack buffs, and then leveraging that with her Mythic Plus, which will then empower all normal attacks with a percentage of her total attack stat as damage, each normal attack they deal, which allows for massive damage output. But anyway, guys, that's going to be pretty much it. I won't go through all the other... Oh, wait, Elsa is down too low. Elsa is in the B tier. But for the Orison Dream Realm boss where you need interruption effects, she is one of the top tier options, either her or Lenya. And I use Elsa in my team and I get a really good score. So Elsa is important for the Orison Dream Realm boss. For the other bosses, she can be replaced and there are better options in her, but she is still runnable as a damage dealer in other bosses as well. That is pretty much it about what we have to mention. The other heroes down here do not really see any use in the Dream Realm, I think. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you thought about the placement of the heroes on this tier list. Overall, I agree with most of them, and we talked about the ones that we think maybe the placements are a bit off. Sinbad, overall, S tier hero in both Dream Realm and PvP, but so far his performance in Dream Realm has been lackluster. He's only the best hero option in one of the Dream Realm bosses, which is Lone Gaze, as of right now, and I suspect for Alpha Bear he will not be, and the other bosses we have remaining. It's mainly because Taylene is shining just way too hard over all the other heroes. But it's also because Sinbad's debuff effect is really kind of nerfed pretty hard against bosses to an extent where it is better to just be running other heroes than him. So that is a problem he falls into. And for PvP, he is kind of like a niche hero. For offense, he is a good option. On defense, not always going to be the greatest. So overall, he's kind of like an average tier hero. Not a must-have, not a must-recruit, not really needed for anything, but nice to have on your account. Certain teams he's going to be top of for Dream Realm and like Lone Gaze, and for PvP on offense he has uses. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.